an opening remark. To Pak Wawan, the stage is yours.
Okay. Thank you, Pak Hari Nugroho. And Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Honorable Professor Dr. Muhammad Mahrin and Dr. Halim Shah Dato Hamzah, both of you, the expertise come from the UTM. Welcome in University of Pertamina. I think I've already been there many times actually, but maybe 3 or 5 years ago. Hopefully in the next time I would like to be in UTM next time. Thank you so much. And then distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is a honor and a great time for me actually to be here in the international upbringing with the title Digital Technology and the Emergence of Industrial Revolution 4.0 that hosted by University of Pertamina with the objective that to facilitate the student, lecturers, and general publics obtaining scientific insight directly from the expert abroad to broaden their knowledge. So I think your expertise now very important for us, for Professor Muhammad Mahrin and Dr. Halim Shah. Thank you so much. And today I think we have a very good expert relating the topic. Both of you, Professor and Muhammad Mahrin and Dr. Halim Shah, you are, I think, the expert in this topic. And I just would like to inform some my knowledge relating with the Industrial Revolution 4.0 actually. If we are talking about Industrial Revolution 4.0, I think we have to concern with the situation with some point like this. The first Industrial Revolution 4.0 will relate with the subject of digitization, computing power, and the data analysis. This the subject will have an impact of the technology components such as cyber, physical, Internet of Things, and of course the biology. And then application of this technology component will have contribution directly on many business aspects such as agriculture, logistics, manufacturing, services, and etc. So Industrial Revolution 4.0 will impact directly to all of our daily activity that call as the disruption, that characterizes by uncertainty and unpredictable future. So to survive from the disruption, so we have to be the champion. I think we have to be the champion. It means that be disruptor instead of disrupted. That is our choice, no other choice. So we have to be champion. We have to be disruptor. So the topic of discussion today, digital technology and the emergence of Industrial Revolution 4.0, I think is a very, very important topic to reach our knowledge to be as disruptor, to be as the champion in the era of Industrial Revolution 4.0. So for that, I would like to say many, many thanks to our presenter, to Professor Dr. Muhammad Mahrin, to Dr. Halim Shah, Dato Hamzah, that provide your time. I know you are so busy, but you provide your time to be with us now. And then also to all of you who join in this event, Thank you and enjoy the seminar. Finally, because the moderator said that I have to open formally this discussion. So finally, with saying Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, the international upbringing with the title Digital Technology and the Emergence of Industrial Revolution 4.0 is formally opened. Thank you, especially to both of you, Professor Mahrin and Halim Shah. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Pak Wawan, for the opening remark and for officially opening the event this afternoon. Thank you so much, sir. So we move on to our first session. In today's session will consist of two approximately 20-minute sessions. But before we begin, need I remind you that microphone is mute at all times. And if along the presentations you have questions or need some clarifications from the speakers, please write your comments or questions in the chat room available. We will select some questions or comments in the next Q&A sessions after the second presentations. And the amount of questions addressed will depend entirely on the time available. This first session will be delivered by Dr. Naz'ri. He will present a topic on the impact of digital technology on economic growth. But before we go into the sessions, let me give a little introductions on Dr. Naz'ri. Dr. Naz'ri has completed his bachelor and master degree at Universiti Teknologi Malaysia in computer science and real-time software engineering, respectively. He then continued to earn his PhD at the University of Queensland in Australia in software engineering. Dr. Naz'ri has an extensive industrial experience as well as professional certifications. To mention a few, Dr. Naz'ri has been an information security consultant at Nexagate, Sendirian Berhad, machine learning application in endpoint detection and response, or EDR, for cybersecurity Malaysia, and system verification and validation for communications, government integrated radio network, commercial telecom under Uni Technologies Sendirian Berhad, or UTSB. Dr. Naz'ri has also been active as reviewer and journal editor for several leading journals, including Journal of Information and Software Technology, Journal of Systems of Software, and Engineering Science and Technology, an international journal. Dr. Naz'ri is also a productive writer, ranging from book, chapters, and journals. He also teaches various subjects in the field of computer software and engineering. He conducts various research and supervises master and doctoral students. His research interests include software engineering, big data analytics, information security management, enterprise architecture, and digital transformation. So, without further ado, Dr. Naz'ri, you can own the stage.
Okay, let me share my screen first. Can you see my screen?
Yes. It's showing now.
Yeah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good afternoon to everyone. The Honorable Professor Dr. Insinyur Wawan Junawan Abdul Kadir, or Pak Wawan, the Vice Rector for Research, Development, and Partnership, Universitas Pertamina. And Mr. Moderator, Dr. Halim, thank you very much for your kind introduction. And ladies and gentlemen, first of all, thank you very much for having me today. And inshallah, I will try my best to share my view based on my study and my experience, okay? After reading some report that publicly available actually about the trend of the digital technology and how that impact to the economy, okay? So I try my best. I have about 30 more slides, okay? But time given is only 20 minutes. I try my best to compress it. So currently I am the Assistant Dean for Quality and Strategy at the faculty. And my talking points for today, first start with basic things, to have a look at the key concepts, okay, based on the topic given today. And then I will talk a few things about the trends on the digital technologies, okay, and then how that digital technology contribute to the economic growth. And I also will talk about the challenges, okay, and the way forward based on the digital technology latest development, inshallah. Okay, first thing first, the word digital, okay? So basically it's referred to the information when we store or transmit, okay, in digital format. And meaning the digital format means it's a machine level format that only understood by the machine. It is in the form of zeros and ones. If you like to watch what we call the one movie that you can see the digital ray. I can't remember the movie, long time ago. And no one remember? No one remember, okay? But basically it's the information in the form of zeros and ones. Okay, we call it digital information. Okay, and transmit that in that form as well. But before that, the word digital refers to the tool for counting. Okay, that's the original terms or definition of digital. Okay, now another basic things here is the technology. The keyword here is the microprocessors. Any box, any device in your hand that consists of microprocessors, we can consider that as a technology. Okay, so it can be in the form of computer, of course, tablet, smartphone, and you name it. Okay, that is something like technology. And then when we marry these two terms, digital technology, it refers to the information used on the computer or disseminated on a computer is known as digital technology. This is the key point, the key terms that we are talking about today. It is about the information and it is about the use of computer and how these two basically contribute to the growth of the economy. And technology is best when it brings people together, like today's, okay? So we are having time together. This is from the benefits of the technology, okay? But if the technology cannot put us together, bring us together, so I think we can consider that technology is not the good one. So be careful, technology can bring positive, and technology also can bring negative or harm to people, okay? And then, this is what happens every day in our life. Okay, whether we realize or not, we are one of the contributors to this number. 2.5 quintillion or million trillion bytes of data or digital data per day. This is a huge amount of digital data created every day around the world. And we are part of them. We are contributed to these numbers. Okay, it's very huge. And then what happened? Mankind is on a quest to digitize the world. This is what happened, people around the world doing. Okay, we try to digitize almost everything we can. Okay, so you just imagine numbers of data going to be created in the future, coming days. It's going to be double, triple the current size. Okay, because this is part of technology, the data the digital data. Okay, and if you look at the projection produced by the IDC white paper titled Data Age 2025, this is what they predict. By the year 2025, there will be about 175 zettabyte of data. Okay, and currently we are 2021. Roughly, we have about 62 zettabyte per data per year created. Okay, this is to show huge amount of data available out there. Okay, maybe you have question. Okay, how big is zeta? How big is that 175 zettabyte? Look at the description. Okay, 1 zettabyte is equivalent to 1 trillion gigabytes. That's a huge amount of data. And if you're able to store the entire global data sphere, data sphere is the measures, okay, that used by IDC to count the size of the data around the world. Okay, if you burn that into DVD, what's going to happen? If you stack that DVD, okay, you can stack up to the moon 23 times, and you can circle the Earth. The DVD can circle the Earth 222 times. That's huge. Okay, how big is the USB storage size we have in our hand? Only 1 gig, 2 gig, maximum maybe 5 gig. But we are talking about trillion gigabytes for 1 zettabyte. So we are talking about 175 zettabyte by the year 2025. Okay, and then another analogy to help us to better understand about this huge amount of data. Sorry. If you can download this data, let's say 175 zettabyte of data, and with the current speed, average speed of internet 25 meg per second, okay, and this is the average internet speed in the United States, okay, but in Malaysia, in our country, home country, for example, it can be less than that, okay. It will take one person, 1.8 billion years to download all those data, okay. So, and then if you, let's say all of us download it together, okay, we need to spend 81 days to finish, to download the data. So just imagine, we are talking about huge size of data out there, okay? I'm not sure whether you want to download this data or not, okay, and how to download and which data to be downloaded and so on for the use of our business, okay? So the point here is there is huge of data out there that we can use in our business. Okay, this is just to show you the current state that we have about the data. Okay, and data is basically helping us to reach a new market. This is basically slowly. I want to show you how this basically the digital technology, the digital data impact to the economic growth. Okay, data can be used to reach or create new markets, and also we can sustain our business also based on the data. We can analyze the data, better understand our customer, and sustain our business. Data can be used to streamline operation and also to monetize raw and analyze. We can make money, we can sell data. Okay, and it is reported that global intangible asset of companies are more than $200 trillion. Okay, this is based on the report published here in this IDC white paper. Okay, asset companies, intangible asset means data. If you're talking about the data, that the value of the data, $200 trillion, intangible asset. And basically here we can see data is really important, and people start to talk about data is the agent to change the world. Okay, and talking about the internet protocol, this is basically the size of the traffic. Next year, 2022, and this is the projected size of data to be transmitted through internet, 150,700 gigabit per second. Just imagine compared to the 1992, the internet protocol, okay, protocol of traffic. And then based on the big, huge size of data that you have seen, this basically gives impact to the digital economy. Okay, so And from this, basically, when you talk about digital economy, it's basically transforming. Okay, this digital economy is transforming, okay, rapidly due to the rapid evolution and growing use of digital technologies. Okay, this is basically how important on the digital technology and digital data to the world economy. Okay, so this is also the frontier technologies that really play a big role, okay, in supporting, in promoting digital economy. And on the left side, as you can see, okay, the digital economy gives impact to all SDGs. SDGs stand for Sustainable Development Goals. This is the United Nations. This is the worldwide development goals, okay, that all countries are responsible to achieve. And digital economy, they have impact to all the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And the frontier technology here, as you can see, according to this report, like blockchain, data analytics, artificial intelligence, 3D printing, Internet of Things, automation, robotic, cloud computing. So meaning that if we are in that technology, if we are dealing with that technology, this is a very in-demand kind of technology. Any businesses, for example, okay, if they are embarked into this kind of technology or use this kind of technology to support their business, okay, they are basically following the trend. They are basically using the latest technology to improve their business, okay? And according to another report, Gartner, this is latest after the pandemic, COVID-19, okay? Gartner highlighted or reported the latest trend in terms of technology, especially to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic, okay? They categorize into people centricity kind of technology, location independence kind of technology, and resilient delivery kind of technology. And these are all the technology that basically really contribute or improve to the businesses nowadays. This is according to Gartner 2021. One of the example here, Internet of Behaviors. This is area of technology that if we can champion, if we can leverage on that, it will help a lot to the growth of our business and also economy. Total experience strategy. We are talking about not only user experience, not only customer experience, not only our employee experience, but combination of all those experiences. When you talk about experience, we are not only look at one or individual aspect. What we try to look as a total, because we want to look at everything. We have to something like understand all what people concern out there about our business. How we going to something like deliver something that suit to the customer needs. So these are all about total experience strategy or technology related. If you focus on that, that can help us to run a business, okay, in this time, okay? And then privacy enhancing and computing. This is also kind of technology that we are very in need, okay? When we see a huge amount of data just now, privacy become the main concern. Okay, it's not easy to ensure the privacy of the data, okay, and also it's going to be very challenging, okay, because we need, once we have a huge size of data, of course we need to share the data, but how to control which data can be shared, which data cannot be shared. Maybe we have a different level of category or accessibility of the data. That can be challenging for one organization to manage that. And then if we look at it from the location independence point of view, distributed cloud, nowadays we have to work from home. We can access to the on-premise facilities, ICT facilities, if the internet is not strong, okay? So we have problem, okay? So, and also, even though we have our on-premise facilities, ICT facilities in the office, but again, nowadays, okay, that can be after one, few years, 3 years, 5 years in business, that asset can be a liabilities. So normally people or business people, they try to reduce that. They don't want to have their own facilities, ICT facilities, for example, in their organization. They prefer to migrate that all their application services and so on to the cloud. And the cloud is only not in one location, not only on one type of cloud, but it's a distributed type of cloud technology. Okay, so this is a future of technology that really can help the development or the growth of the business, okay? Anyway, operation, As we know, nowadays, we can access to services. What we want is to access any services from anywhere we want. Okay, so if we can have a technology that can provide the service for the customer that from anywhere, that kind of technology can help to improve our business and also then improve the growth of the economy and so on and so forth. Cybersecurity, intelligent, composable business. That is interesting. This is a very interesting concept. So basically, we are not siloed into one business only. We are very agile. We are very something like dynamic to compose new business. Before this, maybe you only focus on one business, but due to pandemic, we need to be creative. We try to come up with another type of business that to make sure we can sustain. Okay, we can something like generate income and so on. AI engineering is another big technology. Okay, and also hyper automation, especially nowadays during the pandemic, we need to have it difficult for us to manage business through traditional way, paper bills and so on. So hyper automation is kind of technology that can help to grow our economy. Okay, this is some fact and figures, but geography of the digital economy is highly concentrated into countries. As you know, the big country, the two giants in the US and China. Okay, 90% of the digital economy dominated by these two countries. Okay, and then you see, as you can see, 75% blockchain technologies in the United States. Okay, all these are technologies I mentioned in the previous slide. 50% of global technology spending IoT in the US. Most of them are based in the US. More than 70% of cloud computing, one of the, I will say, as enabler technology to the digital business, and then there's also come from the US and also China, sorry, the red one. But again, even though we have this huge statistic, okay, achievement about the technology, okay, but still huge digital divide. Half of the world remains offline, whether we realize or not. And in the less developed countries, 1 in 5 people are still only 1 in 5 people online, meaning that not everybody can access to the technology. That's a challenge we have. And the gender gap also, okay, widest in the poorest economic country. Okay, the gender gap. And then this is what happened, the trend also on the investment. US and China, the two giants. Okay, before this, they are very something like, they're always in war. We call it trade war. But since last year, maybe last 2 years, 1919, okay, and then the strategy is changed, especially as you can see here from the China government. Okay, they focus more on the technology, and now it's no longer a trade war; they call it a tech war. So the investment is very much on the technology. This is how basically how the two giants, okay, spend their money, okay, to develop technology. Okay, and as you can see, what we can expect in future of the China, maybe anytime from now, maybe China can be the leaders in terms of economy. Okay, value in the digital economy. Okay, if you ask me about the real impact of digital technology to the economy, I will say here is an important slide. Okay, the real impact is on the value creation, because we have data just now. Okay, so data is basically a valuable economic resource. Okay, but again, data only is not enough. We need to transform the data into digital intelligence. This is two different things, okay? Two different types of data. Raw data, it can be not meaningful, okay? But when we convert the data to digital intelligence, or we call it also actionable data, data that we can use in our business, for example, okay? Data that we can use to take action to improve our business, to better understand our customer, for example. We call it digital intelligence, okay? So two different things, raw data, digital data, and the digital intelligence, okay? So we need to do that transformation from the digital data to digital intelligence. Then we can benefit from the digital technology, okay? So use and consumption data that we use and consume, okay? here in the middle is the policy that we need to have in place. If you really want to make use of the digital data, we need to have a good policy in place to create and capture more value. Okay, what is value basically? When I talk about value, what is value? Or people always speak about value creation. Why that value creation is so important? Value creation is about giving something. When you have a business, you give something valuable. And again, to receive something else that more valuable. It's not only selling product. We use the term giving something to the customer, okay? Giving something valuable to the customer, but at the same time, we want to receive something else that more valuable from the customer. That is value creation. That is what we want in business. Okay, we give something good to our customer, and the customer also gives something more than what we expect. That what we want, not only pay to us, but they also share their experience after they use the product, for example. That's what value that we want. And from that return value, we can use to improve our product and do continuous improvement of our product, for example. Okay, so we need to have, from the current data that you use and consume, we need to have policy in place, and then we can come out with more innovative product. Okay, and then we need to have also a structural transformation. Okay, structural transformation. All this basically will bring wealth creation. Okay, money will influence or improve our economy, business, and so on and so forth. And one thing that we have to consider again, how to make it fair distribution, the wealth to fairly distributed to the people. Okay. And then this one is basically what we can see from the data value chain and data monetization. Data is not, raw data is not automatically or magically you can sell directly and get money like that. No, we need to do process exercises just now from data, digital data. We need to transform that into digital intelligence. Okay, that digital information is more valuable than the digital raw or original digital data. Okay, transform. Okay, from the bottom here, of course, we do the collection, data collection. Data, you store the data, you keep the data, you analyze the data, you transform the data into digital intelligence. This is data, we call it data value chain. And then from here, after you go through all these processes, okay, then we can obtain all this. We can get all this. We can sell the data, we can operating or e-commerce platform, we can transform the traditional good into, these are all basic kind of benefits that we can get after you do all this on the left side. Okay, here, as you can see from data to value creation, this is basically all the steps that we have to go through, okay, how to benefit from the data and contribute to our business, okay. Next is value creation and capture in the digital economy, a global perspective. This is the value that currently we have, okay, in the world. Combined value of platform companies with a market capitalization. In 2015, we have 4.7 trillion values, okay, of value creation from the digital economy. And 2017 is 7 trillion, and now 2021, I think it's more than this, okay? And then in terms of technology, US and China giants share the global digital service market. But again, as you can see, the giant country, the big country, conquer, okay, the digital economy business, okay? Internet search market, for example, Google conquer 90% of the world, okay? Global social market, Facebook, for example, 60% of the world. In world online retail activity, Amazon, more than 1/3, okay? Mobile payment and so on, Chinese market, okay? Through WeChat and so on, we know that, okay? And then these are basically why this digital economy is very huge, because of these factors, okay? Because of the network effect, ability to extract, control, analyze data, high switching costs, basically, all these basically factors that contribute to the digital economy, okay? And then this is also when, as I said just now from the beginning, when we have digital, it can give positive effect, it can give negative effect, okay? Like this one, for example, internet advertising, okay, share in the global advertising revenue. So we have 2010, 15%, and you just imagine 2023, the revenue is 60%, okay, in terms of internet advertising. But on the right side, you see what happened to the traditional advertising, okay, the newspaper and so on. Okay, the revenue drop, okay, 60 billion in 2000 now become only 4 billion estimated in 2023. Okay, then when we have new things, new technology, it always come like create positive side and also negative, positive effect and also negative effect. And also digital advertising, this is only one example of business in this sector, okay? Is how they affect, digital technology affect to the business, okay? And here, in terms of the risk here, you can see when we have the raw data, we are all the provider, user of the technology, we provide a lot of data. Every click we press on our computer, on a smartphone, basically we generate data and we provide data to the app's owner, for example. Okay, if you browse through Facebook, okay, we click one button, for example, like, share, whatever. Basically, that data, okay, will be used by the Facebook to analyze the behavior of the user. Okay, so basically, we are the data provider. Okay, and here we have a global digital platform. In example just now, Facebook as an example of global digital platform because all users, okay, around the world, when they click anything on Facebook, okay, all the data will go to the Facebook data center, for example. And then the risk is this one. Risk of subordinate position of the developing countries, and while having to pay for the digital intelligence. You see, we provide the data, okay? But if, let's say, we want to get back the data, it's not for free. We have to pay back to the digital platform provider, Google, Amazon, Facebook, and so on. This scenario happened. We provide the data just for free. But if you want to get back the data to understand, study the trend of the usage of the apps, for example, so we have to pay back to the digital platform provider. And that's something that to me is unfair. Okay, so because we provide data, we're supposed to get the data back for free, but it's not that easy. Okay. Next is what I have, opportunities. Okay, opportunity for micro, small, medium enterprise businesses. As we know, many countries around the world, more than 90% of the contribution to the economies come from the SMEs, small, medium enterprises. Okay, and only few giant companies really contribute to the economy of the country. Okay, and small businesses, of course, they can benefit from the digital platform. As I said just now, to invest a physical infrastructure and for one small business, it's not that cheap. Okay, it's very expensive. And as I said, after 5 years, it becomes liabilities to maintain that. Okay, so small businesses, they can leverage, they can start their business by using global digital platform. For example, very famous nowadays, Amazon, for example. You don't need to purchase a physical server, okay, to run your apps for business, but you can just hire the server, the virtual server from the Amazon, and then park your apps there. And then people doing business access your services from that global digital platform. Okay, and then we also can have, by strengthening domestic productive capacity, and also we can create more value can be captured in the digital economy. You see, small medium enterprise, they're not limited to the local businesses, okay, but they also have access, widening their access to the global market, even they are in the SME category. Okay, this is something like benefit from the digital technology. Okay, and they also can do this. Okay, small business, okay, they can always be more innovative to thinking, create new product category, new market, create new market, and so on and so forth. Despite bottlenecks, uneven distribution of activity. These are, as you can see, uneven distribution. Okay. The point here from this slide is the digital content. Okay. So you see, most of the digital content here, top right. Okay. It's not from our region. lot of data actually come from this North America, Europe. Okay, so the content in the digital economy still small portion from our side. Okay, the developed countries still dominate more. Okay, on the to own the content of the digital in the digital technology. Okay, and what we can do is entrepreneurship activity. Okay, as you can see from here, it's positive development, 60% development. Okay, of the digital entrepreneurship in Africa improve. Okay, and startup in Asia also growing. Okay, 58%, especially in China and India. And the digital entrepreneurship bottleneck is developing countries. These are the challenges, some of the challenges: limited demand, entrepreneurial knowledge and skills. Still, we need to develop skilled workforce, need to be trained, and finance assistance also from the government and so on. We talk about the technology, advanced technology, but that's not come for free. Okay, so we can have innovation hubs. Okay, that can generate more creative, innovative idea and so on. This is all basically challenges and also some opportunities also that we need to address. And this is another big challenge: security. Okay, when you are digital, we are always something like exposed to this kind of challenge. Okay, and it's really something like it's more than the GDP. The cost to attack cybercrime, okay, reach 6 trillion. And normally for any developing country, we spend about 7%, 5%, 7%, 6% of GDP for our technology. But at the same time, as you can see here, 7% of global GDP spent just to address, just to countermeasure the cybercrime, okay, attack. This is another huge money that we have to spend. This is basically the risk come together with the digital technology. And just imagine numbers of attacks here. Global attacks per week. Okay, 300 million attacks in 2020 last year. 300,000 million. So you see the graph here. It's exponential. Okay, we don't know in 2021 maybe it's double or triple as because most of the time during pandemic we stay at home, all are online, and at the same time people, opportunists, attackers, hackers, they also do their job, okay, to take advantage. And then this is something like the way forward that we can do from here. We need to have something to strengthen our policy. The keyword here is policy, okay? Because technology can create opportunities and challenges at the same time, okay? So policy can help us. Policymakers need to make choices that help reverse the trends toward widening. I talked about inequalities just now, imbalance between the developing countries, small business and big business, developing countries and developed countries, and so on and so forth. So policy need to be in place how to control that. If you look at as a country, a small country, for example, the government is responsible to how to balance this, okay? So between the small businesses and also the big businesses, okay? So yeah, to access to technology is not for free, it's not free. And this is what you can do, something that you can do, maybe we can participate at the global level. Okay, we need to dialogue, we need to also have consensus building, understanding among the neighboring countries and so on. We can policy making, okay? And the government, okay, need to address all these stakeholders, approach all these stakeholders, okay? And to shape the digital economy. We cannot allow the company do something like conquer everything. One company A conquer everything, okay? But we need to have government intervention here to control or to shape the economy, the digital economy in particular, okay? So government need to define the rules of the game. Do not let the companies to control the countries. I hope I'm, okay, I hope you get the point that this is some of the policies, okay, that we can focus on as a research. It can be interesting research, okay, to promote on the digital economy, all this taxation. Nowadays, all business are online, but how the tax structure looks like, that can be something like interesting area of research. Competition, data policies, yeah, also very important. I'm talking about data confidentiality, data security, okay, data privacy, okay. A lot of policies need to be established, yeah. And then we also need to have new policies and regulation. We consider all this, okay, we need to have new policies and regulation. Again, back to basic fair distribution of gains, because we have to consider all different type of people. Okay, this one at the government level should play this role. Okay, and need policy to space for experimentation also, because we are new. Maybe some of the organization, company, business are very new with the technology. They need to have space to experiment their ideas, product, and so on. So the government maybe they can have some initiative, okay, to give something like a place for them to test their idea and so on. So for national effort distribution and developing countries, we need to have something like inclusive digital transformation. Okay, to maximize the benefits from digital transformation, okay, digital technology, okay, I repeat, to maximize the benefit of digital technology, the key point, the key things that we need to do here is to do digital transformation. This is a very big initiative. People around the world talk about it. Digital transformation. Organization, countries need to structurally plan on how to do this digital transformation. And the key point here, this is a very detailed methodology for this. I'm not going to talk about that. But when we talk about digital transformation, it's about to change, and we need to manage the change. Okay, and it's not easy to manage change. Okay, especially when we have to deal with these people. Okay, digital transformation basically starts with people, not the technology, not to invest the technology first, okay, and then invest on the people. But we need to invest on the people, let the people understand first about the direction with the technology and so on, how to make business from the technology and so on. Okay, so do it right, the first step is important here. Okay, so digital transformation is not about the evolution of devices, okay, it's about the integration of intelligent data just now. Okay, so we need to integrate after we have technology, but if the intelligent data is not in place, it's meaningless. We need to have these two, digital technology and also digital intelligent or intelligent data need to be together. Okay, so that we can get the maximum benefit from digital technology. And this is digital transformation, also known as digitization. This is basically, you can find this report, okay? It's proven that it's really contributed to the economic growth and also the job creation. Okay, and this is the last slide. Okay, I would like to conclude with this statement that digital technology can be regarded as a primary source of economic growth. We cannot ignore that. This is the time, okay, for us to really plan and also be more aggressive, okay, to implement digital transformation, okay, and then we can benefit from the digital technology in our economic growth, okay. And one point, last point I would like to address is when you talk about technology, be sure that this technology is controlled by us, people, not the technology going to control us. It's very important also, because we're talking about the future, maybe we don't realize, okay, make a mistake, okay, until one time actually technology control us, not we, human, control the technology. What we want is we control the technology and we use the technology to achieve our business goal and so on. Okay, with that, I end my sharing session. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Naz'ri, for an enlightening and informative presentation you made just now. I think your presentation was not only outstanding, but it also is an eye-opening experience for me, for our students, and for the lecturers and the public in general. I deeply appreciate this wonderful presentation you made in the first sessions. It really induced my curiosity for the topic, and I'm just ready for the next lecture from you in some other time in the future. It's really interesting. I thank you very much for the presentation. Okay, let's move on to our second speaker, Dr. Halim. He will be presenting the topic of the emergence of Industrial Revolution 4.0. And before we go into the sessions, let me give a little introduction on Dr. Halim. Dr. Halim Shah Dato Hamzah has earned his bachelor, master, and doctoral degree from the Universiti Teknologi, Malaysia in manufacturing, specifically in manufacturing technology and engineering business management. Dr. Halim has an extensive career path both as industrial practitioner and as academician. Prior to becoming an academician, Dr. Halim has experience with Pero 2 manufacturing and Proton. Dr. Halim also underwent numerous training as practitioners. One of the training that stands out was Toyota Production System, or TPS, which Dr. Halim participated locally and abroad. From Toyota Motors Manufacturing in Kentucky in the United States, Daihatsu Motor Corporation in Osaka, and Toyota Motors Corporation in Nagoya. Dr. Halim has chaired and developed more than 20 industrial standards, including 6 in Industry 4.0, 2 of which is used in the Industry 4 WRD policy. He is also the manufacturing domain expert for SME Corp's Innovation Certification Program, or One InnoCert. Throughout his engagement with the industry, he has consulted and assessed more than 300 Malaysia small medium enterprises in various economic sectors, and he also has consulted overseas. As academician, Dr. Halim lectures at the Universiti Teknologi Malaysia in the quality and change management, IT project management, entrepreneurship, strategic management, lean operations, life cycle cost analysis, and supply chain management in both master's and doctoral levels. Dr. Halim currently supervises 4 PhD candidates and 4 master students. Dr. Halim research interests include smart operations or Industry 4.0, LARG or lean, agile, resilient, and green, and closed loop sustainable operations. So, without further ado, Dr. Halim, please, the audience is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Hari.
Yeah.
Thank you for the kind introduction. So I'm going to share my slides now. Okay. I got a bit worried just now since I need to follow Dr. Naz'ri. You mentioned that his presentation is outstanding, so I try my best. Anyway, I too have about 30 slides. I'll try my best to keep it within the 20 minutes given. I'm going to start the talk today with a poem. There was once a land where darkness had descended. The people cried as they are now blind. They could not see, they could not find. They too panic for when the ogre come, cause in the dark their defenses are crumb. The best of them gathered and craft a plan, ways to repel darkness and shine the land. But here comes the village idiot, blind in one eye, the other eye is not. The idiot could see in the dark with one. The people say that's better than none. The people want to see and able to handle, so the idiot just brought them a candle. The people lauded the idiot their hero, for seeing with a candle is better than zero. So for this, the people asked the idiot to lead the plan developed by their best, now left buried. But their best was not ever blind. Oh, how they wish they too were like their kind. Seeing the people be made mediocre, surely they will be eaten by the ogre. Their best shouted that they can see too, not with just one, but they have two. Please, please, please listen to the plan and not the idiot of the land. The people pushed their best, closed their ears. Best that you rest, your plan will take years. The one candle made darkness no longer a bore. But what happens when that one candle is no more? So from this poem, I can gather that one, short-term solution is great, but it could never solve radical changes that happens to a society. Now, human beings, we as a society, we have undergone multiple radical changes. In fact, nowadays, today, we are facing the 5th, not the 4th, but the 5th. Now, these societal radical changes or revolutions are not considered as events. it is actually made up of processes that takes decades and centuries. So allow me to walk you through the 5 radical changes. So the first one, we start off with being able to coexist with nature. So this is society 1.0. We hunt, we fish, we get the fruits, we get the berries, we get the nuts. Most of us live as nomads, and we live a very healthy lifestyle. We have to hunt for our food. Due to the flexible working hours, we have more family time, and we have more time to do arts. The innovation at this particular point in time is focused on survivability as well as mobility. The business model at that particular time would be bartering surpluses. Now, being nomad is never an easy life. So as society, it made sense to make a radical change of this. So instead of just coexisting with nature, we start to manipulate nature. So this is where we start to be more of an agricultural society, society 2.0. We start to herd animals, we start to grow crops, and most of us now settle down, live in settlements, which then grew into town. So with growing crops comes more food, and with more food, we have more job types because we don't have to basically focus our efforts on growing foods anymore. So with more job types comes more goods. At this particular point in time, we produce these goods at the artisanal way in cottage industries, in basically producing them inside our houses. We also start to do trading with other settlements, and this interconnectivity of cities is achieved through land and as well as sea. Now, through land evolves to become the Silk Road, a trade route of luxury goods, and by sea become the Indian Ocean trade, which we are all part of. Yeah? And this particular Indian Ocean trade is not carrying luxury products, but most of it are carrying mass goods. However, just like today, interconnectivity also brought viruses and plagues, as well as trade spies. Now, farming is super hard. Okay, so to make it easy, they capture others to read for you and slaves. So that's one of the bad chapters in our human history. Eh? Now, as workers, they have less family time and less time to do arts, but the wealthy starts to collect luxury goods. In terms of innovation, the focus is on seafaring in terms of irrigation and also agriculture, and this includes biodiversification. We actually introduce new crops, new seeds, new animals to new areas of the world. We can see this being most effective in the Americas. The business model at that particular time would be intertown trading, which also includes regional trade. And now there exist 2 society classes. One, those in power, and the other, those who work. Now, those who work at that particular point in time are everyone, basically everyone works. The man, the woman, the child, everyone works. So now, as trade and product demands get more complicated, again, we make radical changes and we start to do industrialization of nature. No longer do we manipulate nature, but now we start to industrialize nature. We start to work in mines, in factories. We live in towns. We grew those towns into cities. And although mining and production is hard, we don't actually use slaves anymore, but we build machines to produce more. Workers now forms clubs, and these clubs actually are the precursors to the football clubs that we follow today. The wealthies, the elites, they have their own clubs. They call it the chambers of commerce, and they build museums to show off their luxury collections. In terms of innovation, we put our efforts more on machinery and vehicles which are powered by steam. And the business model at that particular point in time is factory-backed production. Instead of just 2 society classes, we now have 3. We have the top, the worker, and as well as the middle class. And now at this particular point in time, women are, basically we start to put women in houses. We don't actually ask them to go out to work, but they can work from home. They are the first remote workers. They get to sharpen knives for factories. They get to do some paintings of products for factories. So the notion of working from home does not start in 2020, but it started way back in our human history. So in short, first we coexist with nature. We have hunters, gatherers, fishermen. Then we start to manipulate nature. We have herders, we have farmers. Of course, we have small numbers of hunters, gatherers, and fishermen. And we have small numbers of people involved in goods production. But as things get more complicated, we become an industrialized society. Now, there are school of thoughts that says that even until today, we are still in this particular phase of the human history. We are still doing industrialization, only better versions of it. So to understand this, let's just compare the first iteration, the first version of industrialization, the moment where it all started, Society 3.0, and the next best iteration, which is mass industrialization. Now, if we were to compare the type of factories, the type of cities that we live in, it's bigger, it's better, it's cleaner. Cities now have sanitation. Before that, we don't have any sanitation. Now, we even understood that production is very hard. So what do? Instead of just building machines, of course, we continue building machines. We now take away skills from the task, making it far more easier to do. Basically, anyone can do the job. We also introduced the standardization of parts, modularization. And before that, we don't have this kind of thinking or concepts. We also built assembly lines to assist us in actually producing more of these goods. Workers evolved into unions, and consumers now have the opportunity to buy mass-produced goods. The best part about mass-produced is that it has volume. So whenever that we have volume, of course, it becomes cheaper. So everyone gets to buy things now. In terms of innovation, the focus is centered towards electric-powered machines, giving rise to automation. We also put focus on cars as well as steel. Now, steel is a very important invention. Business models is almost the same as before, but nowadays, at that particular point in time, corporations now own technologies. Before that, it was just the inventors. Inventors owning the technology, but come mass industrialization, the corporations now owns the technology. The three classes remains the same. The middle class grew, but the workers, the men now only work and women stay at home, not even as remote workers. So how to differentiate these almost similar situations? They are radically different, but it's almost similar. We cannot form a new society out of it. So how do we actually differentiate the two? So this is where we start to say Society 3.0 is actually the first industrial revolution. And when we do mass industrialization, it's actually the second industrial revolution. Now, bear in mind, although in human history, it has attachment to time, but actually nowadays throughout the world, we are still at Industrial Revolution 2.0 level. Most of our SMEs especially. Now, moving on to more complex conditions, we start not only to industrialize nature, but we start to industrialize information. So this is where society becomes a new type of society, an information-based society, Society 4.0, or Industry Revolution 3.0. So what happens at the factories? The factories becomes interconnected. No longer do we have interconnected cities, we now have interconnectivity of factories. We also start to do recycling, meaning that we are trying to extend the use of minerals. We live in sustainable megacities now, okay? And when it comes to operations, it becomes more complex. We start to do outsourcing. We have offshore facilities. We have nearshore facilities. We start to have just-in-time global supply chain, which is, well, radically different. Okay? In terms of the consumer products that we offer, now it's possible for consumers to customize mass product goods. We are now able to choose the colors, choose the features of our product, not just by similar products, but we are able to choose according to whatever that we feel that we want. In terms of innovation, this is where computers come in. So we focus on innovation in computers as well as connectivity, the internet, and efforts will be put into transform manual work to digitize, moving on from digitize to digitalize, and finally to virtualize. Business model would be of digital economy, and the three classes remains the same. We have the top, the elite, the worker class, as well as the middle class. Now, what makes it different for this particular industrial revolution workers as opposed to previous workers is that they are now able to work remotely. Okay? Now, things get more complicated than that. So now we are at the verge of industrializing intelligence, where society will be a society which is based on intelligence, Society 5.0, which will usher in Industry Revolution 4.0. So this is basically the gist of the talk. So anyway, when it comes to the factory, okay, now we have micro hyper-local factories. We have smart megacities. Then in terms of operations, we have lights out operations. We ask consumers to print out their own products. We are moving towards a cyber physical system, and we have digital threats. In terms of products, consumer products, we move away from customizing mass product goods to individualized goods, meaning every single product that is being produced by the factories are unique to you. After which, we will make use of more data and make predictive goods, which later on will even evolve to prescriptive goods. Innovation will be focusing more on ethical, secure, intelligent systems, and efforts will be made to transform from AI to super intelligence, which would allow decentralized decision-making, or in other words, machine empowerment. We also put efforts to the biologicalization of CPS, biomimicry, trying to mimic or trying to copy natural systems to be part of the operations. Business model also sees a bit of change, where now it is based on the enterprise of one. Everybody is basically a mercenary now. We have the sharing economy, we have the gig economy, and of course from these two comes the reputation-based economy. The three classes remains the same, the top, the worker class, as well as the middle class, but there's another type of worker, which is the human club, made up of digital nomads. They are spread all over the world. Okay. Now, if we were to summarize whatever I have mentioned just now, we can just put it inside a graph of a figure just like this. So you can see that there's the 5 evolution or revolution of societies, starting from hunting, agrarian, up until smart. And we can see that from coexisting with nature, we move on to become an industrialized society. Now, if we were to focus in Industry 1.0 up until 4.0, we can see that as we try to offer better product customization, the operations gets more complicated. So whenever that when we want to offer individualized goods, once we want to offer predictive or prescriptive goods, of course, the type of operations that we need to have must be cyber-physical system. It needs to be intelligent automation. Everything needs to be integrated internally as well as across the supply chain and the value chain. So when it comes to defining 4.0, what is 4.0? So 4.0 is actually the current trend. The operative word here is the current trend of digitalization of data and information exchange using advanced technology, where everything is connected and collaborated in real time through a cyber-physical system. So the next question would be, what is a cyber-physical system? So CPS for short are actually enabling technologies. It's not just one technology, it's a combination of many technologies that bring about the virtual and physical worlds together to create a truly networked world in which intelligent objects communicate and interact with each other. So if we were to put this definition into an architecture form, we would have a pyramid type of architecture where we have 5 levels. At the bottom, we have the sensory level or the smart connection level, moving up to data information conversion level, moving on to cyber level. So at this particular cyber level, machines start to have digital twins. They start to communicate with the internet, with digital twin, a digital copy, a datum, a benchmark, so that they can understand their wear and tear. Then it moves to cognition level, and finally configuration level, where they can actually do self-repair. Now, if we were to look from a data value perspective, just like my colleague just now mentioned, data is everything. So what does data has to do with cyber-physical systems? Well, whenever there's an event, we collect raw data out of it. And crunching this data, analyzing this data to understand what actually happened would allow us to have the information. Further doing descriptive analytics would actually allow us to answer where and how does that particular event happen. Moving above that, going towards diagnostic analytics, this is where the second level of CPS. The idea is that we want to answer why does it happen. So we need more analysis to actually unlock this value of data. Moving further up, that's going to be predictive analytics. and finally moving to prescriptive analytics, or at CPS level 5, which would be able to answer what to do when it happens. Okay, so that not only we make use of data whenever an event happens, we can now prescribe what to do if in the event if another event, a similar event, were to happen in the future. So there's a level of intelligence involved, right? Now, if we were to compare 4.0 as opposed to 2.0 and 3.0, 1.0 is too far back, so we don't actually compare with 1.0. So usually we just compare with 2.0 and 3.0. So the common industrial issues that can be mitigated with 4.0, which cannot be mitigated by 2.0 and 3.0, if we were to do a 4M analysis, manpower, machine, material, method related issues, we can see that the issues that can be mitigated with 4.0 are actually issues, operational issues, issues that needs or requires a little bit of intelligence into it. Right now, in terms of the type of operations, if we were to compare 4.0 as opposed to 2.0 and 3.0, now 2.0 and 3.0 are basically craft production up until changeable production. We have artisanal, project, job shop, batch, mass continuous. So those are your typical production operations. And when we have 3.0, when we, well, basically we are already in 3.0 now, we have changeable production in our factories where our production lines are flexible. We can change our production line easily. We have reconfigurable or focus flexibility. And when it comes to 4.0, it goes further up. It is almost the same level as artisanal craft production, but in the setting of a factory. So we have factories with craft mentality. It's a new type of factory, okay? So that we can produce personalized production, which offers extreme variety. So if we were to look at the types of goods and services, if we were to compare 4.0 as opposed to the two types of goods and services before it, goods and services of today is very easy to differentiate between the two because goods are tangible and services are intangible. But Industry 4.0 good trades are a hybrid of the two because organizations are moving towards servitization, where even though they are manufacturers, they are now moving up the value chain to actually manufacture and provide customer service. So it's a hybrid of being able to produce goods as well as offering services. Goods are identical in 2.0. We can change the color, we can change the performance, but in essence, everything looks the same. But in 4.0, every single product is unique. So you are able to co-design, co-develop, co-create, and co-manage. What does this mean? It means that there is no such thing as an iPhone 12 in the future. There is just an iPhone for Hari, iPhone for Halim, iPhone for Dr. Naz'ri. So it's a unique phone, it's a unique product just for you. How do we do this? Because the advancement and the changes that we are undergoing inside our factories allows us to have that kind of flexibility. Okay, when it comes to input, of course, 4.0 is more agile, it's more highly responsive to inputs. That's why it is able to do co-design. And the basis of the goods would be database. Of course, with individualization, it is more difficult to patent. Okay, I'm just sharing a bit about Malaysia. So Malaysia, when it comes to 4.0, we have our industry. Actually, Dr. Hari is forward. So for WRD is actually forward. So industry forward policy. So it is put under the Ministry of International Trade and Industry. It is policy which meant to proactively measure and transform Malaysia to a Malaysian manufacturing industry and its related services to be smarter, more systematic, and resilient. So we have this policy. So what is it that we focus in? We focus at the bottom, we focus on 5 areas. We focus in terms of funding, in terms of preparing the infrastructure, the regulations, the standards, which I am part of, the skills and talent, as well as preparing the technology. We understood that in order for 4.0 to move forward, we need to put effort. And as Dr. Naz'ri mentioned just now, in people. We need to put effort in transforming the processes as well as encouraging the development of next generation technology. So this is basically what the Malaysian strategy is all about. So we understood that there's many technologies in play, but as a start, the industry forward policy, the national policy actually outlines 11. Artificial intelligence, big data analytics. Now, big data analytics is where people usually get it wrong because it's actually two words, big data and data analytics. If you do not have big data, it's not big data analytics. So big data analytics is there because we need to mine for big data. Then we have augmented reality, additive manufacturing, which is personally to me, it's the most important aspect of 4.0, as it will allow people, factories, operations, companies to print things, including food. So whenever that we can print things, this will actually make factories obsolete. Okay, so factories as big factories as what we know today won't be as big in the future. That's why the idea of micro factories and factories in a box, or even the complete obsolution of factories altogether, is something that is currently being researched thoroughly. If every house has its own set of printer that can print any single thing, why would we need to have factories anymore? Companies would then need to change the business process, the business model, from actually producing products to actually selling designs, selling the material. So that is why advanced materials is also part of the technology which Malaysia is putting its focus in. Apart from that, cybersecurity, as Dr. Naz'ri mentioned just now, is also key. I've just shown you just now that interconnectivity is well, it brings viruses, it brings spies way back during the time of the agricultural revolution up until today. So interconnectivity of machines would be similar. Then we have autonomous robots, we have IoT, we have cloud computing and simulation. Now, so we also understood that these enabling technologies would be the catalyst for the fourth industrial revolution. And we also understood that as a technology, as a revolution, the fourth industrial revolution will only reach maturity in 2035. So we have about 15 years to go, but we could not wait until 2035 to only then change to be a 4.0 society, sorry, 5.0 society. So we have to make the changes now. So what is the most important thing that we need to understand as academia, as well as the next generation of workers, is that once fourth industrial revolution reaches its maturity, we will all need a new business model. A new business model that would require the use of next generation methods, focusing more on agility and lean. We would need to have next generation innovation, which would be focusing on service-oriented and reputation-based kind of innovation, because the movement towards civilization. And we also need to have next generation technology, which is digital, smart, and data-driven operations. So package everything together, and we would have a new Industry 4.0 business model. And this is where we need to start to train our next generation of workers, next generation of entrepreneurs. So to help entrepreneurs in Malaysia, one of the key, I would say, activities that the government has actually put in place is the assessment, is the readiness assessment of companies. So assessors, government assessors actually go to ground, go to companies and do some assessment. So this assessment is based on a standard which has people, process and technology elements in it. It has 21 dimensions, and each dimension has a marking of between 0 to 4. So companies will be graded in terms of readiness and will be assisted by the assessors to come up with a roadmap. Okay, so the assessors, being assessors, they are not part of the team that will do this. They will actually come up with the solutions, because that would be a conflict of interest. So they will pass the report back to the government, and the government has a list of solution providers, and they will provide funding for SMEs to actually scale up. So that is what Malaysia is currently doing. And this is just a sample of the report, a simplified report. The report is actually, one report is actually 50 pages long. So this is basically just the summary of it, a proof of concept. So there's 4 proof of concepts here. So this is basically what assessors, the Malaysian assessors are doing for each company. So far they have assessed 1,000 companies and another 5,000-10,000 to go. In Malaysia, we have about 800,000 companies. So yeah, the sample is quite low, but we need to put, we need to invest the government's money in somewhere. All right, now, I'm actually at the tail end of my presentation. I'm just sharing with you the latest findings or the latest iterations of 4.0, which is the biologicalization of manufacturing. We always hear that manufacturing in 4.0 setting is all about digital technologies, all about robots, but that's not entirely true, because there's a new area, there's a new research interest in actually mimicking biological systems into manufacturing. So this includes bio-inspired manufacturing, bio-integrated manufacturing, as well as bio-intelligent manufacturing. So this is not my research. Okay, so I'm quoting a researcher here. Okay, so in short, there's 3 types of biologicalization of manufacturing, and what actually pops up for me is the genetic intelligence, where we try to make sure processes and products carry genetics, carry DNA with them, so that future generations, future iterations of the process, future iterations of the product, even though we are actually moving towards individualized, where there's no actually 2 similar products, but the idea of actually allowing a process to transfer whatever that it understood from one product to another product is almost similar to genetic memory. So genetic intelligence also breeds process DNA. So I hope that what I'm trying to say here is that even though 4.0 seems to be cold, so it sounds to be a very mechanical, very digital, full of robots. The Terminators are going to get us, but actually there's also that side of 4.0 where we talk about biological systems, where we actually talk about not actually replacing a worker, but to augment workers. That's why, just like Dr. Naz'ri mentioned just now, sustainable development, or SDG, is a founding philosophy for 4.0, because we do not want people to lose jobs. We want people to be augmented by the technology. We want them to be upskilled and reskilled to do better jobs. Yes, whenever that we, as a human being, as a society, we move through these revolutions, certain jobs will be obsolete, but not to say that we are going to leave these people behind, but it is necessary, and it is far easier to reskill them using 4.0 technologies such as augmented reality. So what I'm trying to say is that even though the future, or the soon future, is a bit scary, but we understood that these are all the things which is necessary for human beings to go through. As we, as a society, as human beings, as a species, we are moving towards an era where we no longer see Earth just as a planet, but Earth as a stepping stone to Mars, as well as to the moon. So hopefully, you guys understood what I'm trying to say for the past 20 minutes. And I guess that will be the end of my presentation. Back to you, Dr. Hari.
Wow. it's really interesting, it's really an eye-opening, and it's really informative, and wow, it's a jaw hanging experience, and I can thank you enough for delivering this public lecture, and I hope that this enlightening lecture will motivate our students, especially, and maybe our lecturer in general. So thank you, Dr. Halim, for the sharing the knowledge, sharing the experience to us this afternoon, or should I say evening in the Malaysia?
Yeah, basically it's already 5:30 now, so it's already the weekend.
Yeah. Well, we continue to the next sessions, which is the Q&A sessions, questions and answer. I received several questions actually from yes.
If I can introduce to you our dean also here.
Oh.
Prof. Dr. Astuti.
Hello, Dr. Astuti Amrin.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Okay. Yeah. Assalamualaikum. And a very good.
Waalaikumsalam
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am carrying Indonesian name with me.
Astuti, yeah, Astuti.
Yeah, and I am half Indonesian.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
From which part?
Sumatra. My dad is from Sumatra, and I always feel guilty whenever we have any collaboration or any meeting with Indonesian. If I cannot turn up, I always feel guilty because I am half Indonesian.
Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being in our today's sessions.
It's a moral support for my speakers. Actually, I just had a session with our chancellor just now.
Oh, okay.
And I'm sorry that my apologies that I'm quite late to join, but I don't want to miss their lecture. I hope it is insightful for everyone.
Okay, it's okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. We turn to questions and answer in this session. I have received several questions from email. Unfortunately, I was hoping that our students will type their questions and answer in the chat room, but apparently our students are too shy, or maybe they're having difficulties with English. So please bear with us. The first
bisa Pak nanyain bahasa Indonesia, bisa
campur-campur. Mix with bahasa ya.
Enggak apa-apa.
No problem.
Oke tuh, students, kalau mau tanya-tanya sama our speakers today, boleh campur-campur, boleh mix ya, with English or bahasa. The first three questions actually for Dr. Naz'ri. It relates to the ongoing phenomena of digital currency, specifically Bitcoin and Ethereum. The questions is, do you think the cryptocurrency can impact the economic growth in the future? And should we embrace the digital currency or the cryptocurrency, or should we just stay away for now because our digital infrastructure is not sufficient enough, or should we just wait until it really prevails and settle down? I mean, the infrastructure and the development of a cryptocurrency is still undergoing, right? So do you think we should participate, or just wait, or just stay away from now? That's the first question for Dr. Naz'ri. Would you be willing to address one at a time, or would you be willing to address all?
Address one by one, maybe.
Okay.
This is a very interesting topic. Thank you very much for the question. So first of all, I don't have digital currency yet for myself. I don't subscribe to that. But I also following the trends. Okay, it's very interesting. And some countries, they already legalized this. Okay, in Malaysia also, we are in the pipeline. There are something like, I believe, a task force that looking into this kind of technology to be embedded, to be part of our business, you know, and our digital currency, future currency. Okay, so it's happening everywhere in the world. Okay, even some country in the Middle East, they already use that for formal transaction between government and also the businesses. Okay, so as I said just now, when we see technology, we cannot blindly follow the technology. We have to carefully analyze and understand and look into our own context. You know, how that going to be effect to our community, for example, our country as a whole. Okay, so again, a systematic process of adoption. I mentioned the keyword digital transformation. Okay, it should be the way forward. We have to carefully assess this technology. Not only the business people, but also the government need to seriously, because when we talk about currency, normally any countries, it will control or governed by the central bank. Okay, so if, let's say, just imagine if we fully adopt digital currency, there will be no what we call mediator. You know, no more. We don't need bank anymore. We can straight away, if we purchase something, we can straight away purchase or buy through online. Okay, without any, we don't need to have bank anymore. And the verification is through the network. Those who are in network of the digital currency, they can verify the transaction. Okay, so if you ask me from my personal point of view, yes, that's going to be the future. But how far, or how are we ready to fully adopt this? It's just a matter of time. Okay, so the technology is there, and you also can see a lot of hiccups still there. Okay, especially in terms of security. Okay, the connection, the transaction, the verification is very secure. But when it comes to the what we call the digital currency platform, that is the most compromised platform normally. Okay, that is a server. Okay, attackers or cyber attackers, they still can something like get into the servers that do the data mining, and so they call it the digital cryptocurrency mining. Okay, and they can steal our digital coin or Bitcoin, for example. That's still happening. We can hear the reports here and there. Okay, so that's my view. Okay, the technology is there. We should prepare ourselves. But if you want to adopt that, do it systematically through a digital transformation systematic process. Okay, no rush for that. We have to take into consideration, understand all the people around us. Okay, so as I said just now, in terms of technology, not everybody still access to the internet. Half of the people in the world still don't have access to the internet.
Right.
Okay, so how those people are going to make business if we are fully digitalized, including our currency?
Yeah.
Okay, so it needs to be a very something like systematic process to go.
Okay.
Thank you. That's my comment. That's my feedback.
Okay. Okay. The second question is about the slide you presented earlier. It's about the from trade war to technology war between the United States and China.
Yeah.
War is just war. War is just another war to myself. And war, like in the past, like the First World War and the Second World War, there are always two sides, you know, fighting for each other.
Yeah.
Do you think we should choose side in this technology war? I mean, in the hope that if we choose side, we can gain access to the technology or to the data, or we should just remain as the what do you call it, penonton mungkin, just the passerby or just penonton.
Yeah, Dr. Hari, I think that our Prime Minister need to answer that question. It's about the big division for the country, you know. Okay, it's a political division. But whatever it is, I think from my personal view again, this is normally we play safe.
Okay.
Okay, we not something like just stay still, but we be nice to both parties. Okay, we call it in Malaysia, we swim in two column, you know, two
Yeah,
ponds.
2 ponds.
Okay,
To play
so
safe.
we should be in the middle that can benefit from both sides, if you ask me personally. Okay, so if you take sided, for example, that the risk is there. Okay, if you're very obvious to one side, the other side will say that, oh, you are not part of our something like community, you are not part of our network.
Yeah.
And then we lose a lot of something like benefits. Okay, businesses also from their side, the other side. We don't want that to happen. Okay, the bottom line to me is the win-win. What we want is we take benefits, okay, to our rakyat, to our citizens, to our people.
Yeah.
Okay, regardless where it comes from. If the technology comes from west, comes from the east, okay, we take all the good things.
Yeah. Yes,
Okay?
I agree with that.
Answer from the academia, you know. We don't want to be biased. We try to be somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, we try to be neutral.
Yeah, we try to be neutral. You're right. Yeah, that's my comments.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And let's see, other questions is also sent to emails, unfortunately. Okay, this one is for Dr. Halim. It's about the industry forward policy. It's really interesting when you mention that the industry forward policy highlight the people section, especially the human capital development. And for countries like Indonesia or Malaysia, do you think we should develop our human capital through vocational education? Or should we just go and pursue traditional education? What I mean by vocational education may be something like what Germany adopts. They rely heavily on vocational school after high school, so they can produce things with their craftsmanship. But on the other side, the United States, they have the largest population of PhD in the world. They conduct research and development, and so they progress their nations through the development of technology. Do you think we should adopt one side, or should we just be neutral and combine both type of education in pursuit of Industrial Revolution 4.0?
Okay. So in short, Hari, I think that Malaysia and Indonesia are very different in terms of the number of citizens that we have. So Malaysia needs to be very picky when it comes to the type of policy that we have, that we choose, because well, we have only 30+ million citizens as compared to Indonesia. Having said that, Malaysia have actually identified the areas where we want to put our so-called money in. So when it comes to vocational studies, we are also in the midst of actually improving the syllabus for our so-called like the guild system of the Germany. So for our craftsmen, so we are actually trying to develop and trying to integrate 4.0 syllabus into their syllabus, as well as the syllabus that we have in the universities. So we are also trying to bridge the gap between those who are actually vocational based, so that they have the same opportunity to be promoted or to be upgraded to masters, to PhD level. We have that kind of bridging system in place. So if you start your career path in a vocational type of route, it's not to say that you will end there throughout your life. It's possible for you to change tracks midway. So in Malaysia, we have that flexibility. Now, when it comes to 4.0, if you ask me where should we put our money in, 4.0, basically there's three types of broad strategies. Where do we want to put the focus of the revolution in? Malaysia, which is follows the same strategy as Europe, as US, and we put our efforts more on factories, on industries. Japan, as you know, put efforts more on society, and China puts more focus on the business process, where their main goal right now is to shift from just producing in China to made in China, meaning to say that they produce and they design in China. So in order for us, in order for a country to move to that kind of strategy, of course you need good vocational people to run the factories, to run the operations, as well as good engineers, good technical leaders with PhD holders to actually design new technology. So for countries with massive human capital, such as China, obviously they can do that. The last time that we checked, perhaps the number of PhD that they have is almost similar as the entirety of Malaysian citizens. Yeah. So there's no way that we can fight them. But if we were to choose, and this is my personal opinion, first of all, I do believe that there needs to be a radical change in education as well. Where there is an idea where we can actually have this customization of the course that we take, meaning to say that the courses that we take in the future are up to the individual. There's no longer a subject. It is based on subject. It's no longer a program. There's no longer a mechanical engineering program, but rather a selection of subjects. So a particular student might take 5 subjects in computer science, 3 subjects in mechanical engineering, 2 subjects in economy, and so on. So he or she is responsible to design their own degree. Why? Because in my personal opinion, degree is no longer a degree or master's or PhD or even diploma is no longer the ticket for work in the future. So this education is no longer seen as the only gateway for future jobs. So what I'm trying to say is that if you need to choose between the two, perhaps it's not that bad to put all your eggs in the PhD basket, in the PhD basket, so that you can grow that population of people first, rather than you put everything in the vocational studies. That's my personal opinion.
Okay, let's see other questions from Andi Novianto. It's the question is simple. How to digitalize fuel and LPG in retail market? It's not really clear as to whom this question is directed to, but I think maybe to Dr. Naz'ri, maybe. How to digitalize fuel and LPG in the retail market?
Yeah, again, I think this one is, of course, fuel is fuel, LPG is LPG. We cannot digitalize that. But in terms of the business transaction, I think that we can leverage on the digital technology a lot. Okay, so how we manage the oil and gas business, okay, and maybe with the digital currency just now, okay, with to manage the different currency exchange, okay, that fluctuate quite frequently lately, okay. So maybe we need to have something like more stabilized currency exchange. And the answer to that is one of it is the digital currency. We have only one something like rate all over the world. Okay, isn't it? Rather than, for example, today, exchange rate between Malaysia and US and Indonesia, rupiah.
Yes.
Rupiah, isn't it? And in US, we have a different exchange rate, isn't it? So if you have that kind of standardized exchange rate throughout the world, I think that can be more manageable. Okay, and when anybody who involved in the oil and gas businesses, okay, they can be more predictable. Okay, because they can minimize or if cannot eliminate the issue of the fluctuation in terms of the currency exchange. That's my comment. Okay.
Okay.
I just want to add. Well, basically, if the question is about the type of business that what can you digitalize from that particular business, perhaps sharing from a mission perspective, we do have a Petronas, our local petrol company. Basically, they have an app that allows basically we can just go to a pump station, a Petronas pump station, and we can just pay from the Naz'ri of your vehicle. So you don't have to actually go, and I don't know, I personally, I don't actually understand why do they need to do that. But perhaps another way to look at this is if you can actually buy fuel or buy LPG for that matter using Gojek. Okay, so you can have that distribution of LPG using Gojeks, where the fuel comes to you rather than you go to the fuel. Okay, so that's my comment.
Okay, let's see. Okay, I think this question is directed to Dr. Halim. Are we ready in terms of the human resource skilling for our new generation? Example, education for the IR 4.0. Do you think the Asian? I imagine this questions is about Asian countries. Do you think we are ready in terms of human resource skilling for the IR 4.0?
Okay, tell you what, I had a meeting with Asian countries way back in 2019, if I'm not mistaken, and Indonesia was represented by someone from your Academy of Science, if I'm not mistaken. So we were talking about the capacity needs development. What are the things that needs to be done in each country so that we can be better prepared for 4.0? So in short, there's no country that is ready for 4.0. Not just ASEAN countries, but the Europe as well. The factories, the industries might be ready, but as a nation, are we ready to actually produce new talents that can fit future jobs? Well, that's quite subjective, actually. What is a future job? So the idea is that we should focus more on continuous learning. So once you go out from the university, you must remember that the education doesn't stop there. So please come back to universities to be reskilled, upskilled, and well, basically prepare to unlearn what you have learned during degree days, so that you can be, because this process of actually preparing you for the future is actually a continuous improvement kind of thing. We cannot say that. There's no future ready syllabus. There's only a future ready, continuously improving syllabus. So in order for you to understand future, perhaps once in a while, come back to universities, and universities perhaps can offer upskilling or reskilling programs for the adults. So I think that would fit better rather than having one singular syllabus for the future. Because the reason is this, is that yes, academicians, we understand the future of jobs. We know what's going to happen. But if we teach you, if we prepare you for a future where the industry is not ready, then there's going to be a mismatch as well. So what I'm trying to say is that degree, masters, and PhD, the training is not so much about your technical skills, but it's the way that you think. Degree holders should think differently from masters and PhD holders. So that skill of thinking is far more, how do you say this, is more important than the coding or the new type of innovation that you learn. Because the moment that we teach you anything, it's obsolete already. that's how fast technology is right now. Even though the ones I mentioned just now in my talk, that's basically old news already. So the idea is that please come back to universities and please continue to learn. And that's my best bet.
Okay, so in short, participants, please do what Dr. Halim has done in the past. He was active in industry, and later he returned to the university. So it's in short, that's what you have to do. You know, after you finish with your academic careers in a school, in a university, you can go to the industry, and later you need to reskilling or upskilling your knowledge, and by coming back to university. Okay.
But after joining university, he bridged us with industry.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Okay. There's another question for Dr. Naz'ri. It's about cybercrime.
Yeah.
So, what if the cybercrime occurs in digital technology, and how do you handle cybercrime if, for example, the perpetrator comes from abroad?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So it's all about team, you know, when it comes to security or cyber attack, okay? Any organization, they need to have a strong team, okay? So well-trained people also with the latest technology, threat and so on, okay? And recently, okay, when it comes to security, people start talking about the next generation of security, okay? It's not like a traditional antivirus. I believe all of you familiar with antivirus, okay? Antivirus, we do scanning, okay? And then scan means we try to detect the virus that already attack our system, already in our system, then we scan it. If you find it, then that means there is a virus in our computer. Okay, this is a very traditional way. We no longer use that kind of technology nowadays for security. What we have nowadays, we call it next generation security. And the word CTI, cyber threat intelligence, to proactively predict what's going to happen to our infrastructure in terms of the security. This is basically many organizations try to invest into that kind of technology. Okay, this involves big data. Okay, they analyze all the behavior of the user who access to our system. Every millisecond, they will monitor all the activities in the system. Okay, and then from that, they will do what they call behavioral analysis of the system. If they can detect any anomaly, okay, abnormal behavior, okay, for example, access to one specific location of the system at a very stringent time, for example, in midnight, you're not supposed to access to that area at night, for example. So we can suspect something. So in order to detect that, we need to have what we call machine learning, detection technique, and so on, okay, to detect all those kind of abnormal behavior. So by doing that, we can proactively predict what's going to happen, even though that attack or that event is not happened yet, but we can proactively predict, okay, and plan or take necessary action based on the abnormal behavior detected. This is what many organizations trying to do now. Okay, so in order to do that, they need to have something like good in machine learning, okay, AI technologies, okay, and also maybe they need to have a big data platform to analyze huge size of data, because when you do system monitoring, we will monitor every millisecond of activities in the computer, for example. Okay, and every millisecond of the activities will generate huge size of data. Okay, and that huge size of data need to be stored somewhere, and of course we need to have a huge size of repository. Okay, so another latest technology that also proactively try to detect potential attack, regardless whether it's from local attack or abroad. Okay, attackers can come from anywhere. Okay, the EDR technology, endpoint detection and response. Okay, so if you notice, latest antivirus, they come with this technology, endpoint detection and response. So basically, if any attack or any attempt to attack, okay, so this technology can detect earlier and respond immediately. We not need to respond that manually. Nowadays, old time when once we know that our computer has been affected, so we will do cleaning.
Yeah.
Like housekeeping, is it, to remove that virus and so on, isn't it?
Yeah.
But now with the latest technology, they can automatically do the response. Okay, remove the virus, and also if necessary, reformat the system without the end user know about that. That's, we call it endpoint detection and response. So endpoint means any endpoint, any devices, our smartphone, our computer, that considered as endpoint. Even the IoT sensors also be considered as endpoint. So this software, they have agent, they call it software agent, okay, that they put at all endpoints, okay, and that agent monitor all the activities at that endpoint. Okay, any suspicious, abnormal behavior, they will something like proactively respond to that. Okay, but behind that, again, machine learning, AI technology to analyze the pattern of the activity, the behaviors of the users, and so on and so forth. This is what I can share. Okay, these two latest technology that widely something like invest by many organizations around the world. The CTI, cyber threat intelligence, okay, and also the EDR, endpoint detection and response. All this, they call it in general the next generation of cybersecurity. Okay, so again, impossible for us to say that we are free from any attack. The moment we hook up to the internet, okay, we are exposed.
Yeah.
Okay, what we can do, we cannot something like guarantee ourselves 100% secure. No such thing. But what we can do is at least to delay the process of attack.
Yeah.
Okay, by having a good something like technology that I mentioned just now.
Yeah.
Okay, before the attack, from the abnormal behavior, because the attackers, if they want to attack, they will try a lot of things, attempts, try and error sometimes, while guess the password and so on. So that kind of behavior can be analyzed and can be detected through machine learning. And then with that abnormal behavior, proactively the endpoint detection response, you can block that IP, for example, okay, block that potential attackers from keep trying to attack to the system. That's what I can share. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Do we have other questions, Ms. Ima, from email? Okay.
I think all of the questions has answered. We already answered questions.
Okay. Maybe Ms. Ima wants to ask questions, or maybe need to clarify some things from our speakers. Please do so. No? Okay. Okay, so thank you for this discussion this afternoon, this evening, I think, because it's already 5 minutes. 5 minutes past 5.
Yeah.
It's almost Maghrib praying times, right? So okay, so we are, before we end completely this sessions, before we close the sessions, we will have photo sessions. It's a family photo sessions. So everybody, please turn on your camera. Please prepare your cutest and biggest smile. Okay, Miss Ima, we are ready on your signals. Okay, please make sure that everyone has their camera on.
Okay, we will have a three shots. So 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, next one. 1, 2, 3, smile, everyone. And last one. 1, 2, 3. Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you everyone. Thank you for being with us today. With the end of these photo sessions, today's international upbringing will also come to an end. Hopefully this event provide benefits to all of us, and we hope you always be healthy and safety, especially during this pandemic time. We would like to express our gratitude to both our speakers today, Dr. Naz'ri and Dr. Halim. Also to all participants joining us today. We would like to apologize if some actions or some words that are not pleasing during this event. And we hope we will see you again in the near future. Thank you so much for our speaker. Thank you so much for our participants. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And you may leave this meeting room. Have a nice weekend, everyone.
Waalaikumsalam. Same to you, Hari.
Yeah. Hope see you again soon.
Yeah, hopefully physically then.
Yeah, physically.
Hope to meet you in KL.
Yeah.
Hope to meet you in Kuala Lumpur.
Thank you, Miss Astuti. I'm looking forward to it. Bye.
I miss my shopping session in Jakarta.
Oh, of course. But they are now all closed. You know, during the pandemic times. Maybe